Some of you guys heard a little bit last week about my myth and how it relates to a current topic. So we're just going to kind of go over it again and added a little bit more detail for you guys, and so how it ties in a little bit better. So the myth that I chose is the Samoan creation mythology and how it pertains to women's pay gap in DC. And that's in from 2016 to 2017. All right. So first I'm going to go ahead and discuss a little bit about the myth itself, and then actually go into the current issue and how it pertains to the myth itself. So I chose, first off, I just also want to say I chose this basically because 2 years ago I actually found out I was Samoan. My whole life I thought I was Thai because I was born there and then adopted. Then I took a DNA test and I realized I actually have more in common with Samoans than Thai people. So basically, it all started with an all-powerful God. His name was Tagaloa. He looked down from the heavens and he saw the earth, and the earth was basically at this point just all water. And he looked down and he said, you know what, I'd really like to go there and visit, but I don't want to just stand in some water all the time. So I'm going to create these islands. And what he did is he created these islands so that he can hang out and enjoy everything that the earth had to offer. So he created a rock, and it was called Manatawalea, which means the great wound, which actually will pertain later, and you'll find out why it means the great wound. And wound as in cutting yourself, you got hurt or something like that. Which is Greater Manawan at this point in time. He was really happy with his creation, but he realized he didn't just want one big rock, he wanted separate islands to visit. So then he split that rock in two, and then from the splitting of the rock, all these other little islands came into play as well. Fiji, all the other Pacific islands that were there as well. And what he used those for was they used those as stepping stones, basically, so he can get from one island to the next. He also realized that he didn't want just a rock. So he spread this mystical sacred vine all over the rocks. And from those vines, the leaves, they would fall down, and those leaves would actually become worms. So that's when the first life was created.
It's interesting.
He really liked that, and he realized, well, there's other creatures here, but I want something in my image. So he gave the first worm head, legs, and basically created the first man. From that man, he created a woman, and then he wanted a man and a woman on every single island. And that actually created the different tribes. So, but then he realized also he needed a king. He needed someone to kind of look over all the tribes while he was there. So he took one man, and it was a man and a woman of the celestial beings, of the ones that were around him. And they were the god of the night and of the daytime. And so, of their child, they had a child together. And when the child was actually born, the child came out and was attached with an umbilical cord, basically to the woman's abdomen and to the child's abdomen. So from there, excuse me. And so that child's name was Satia I La Moatoa. Hope I pronounced it correctly. And that means attached by the abdomen. And he was the one that ruled over all the tribes. And because of that, he named the tribe Samoa, which means sacred abdomen, coming from the woman's, and from the man's body. Now remember how I said earlier about how the island was named after the Great Wound? Well, when he was ripped from the woman, he got a huge wound on his abdomen. And so that's why it's called the Great Wound, the whole island itself, where he was basically born. So next we'll talk about the women's pay gap. So there's three basic things that happens when there's a women's pay gap. Salary, welfare, and also it actually stifles economic growth. Currently, women's pay gap, the pay gap, is something that is known to be a huge issue right now. I mean, this was, people have been fighting this for tens of years, basically. And in the past years, 2 years, 2016 and 2017, we'd like to think that we're more enlightened, that we're more have more equality, especially, we're modern times. We've been through all that. We've been through women's rights, women's marches. We've been through ethnic rights, ethnic marches, and then things like that. But in reality, we're not.